All right, so I am so excited to be here today with Rhonda Van Diest for these most gorgeous cards called Listen and Inspiration for Connecting with Purpose. So as I was going through these cards, Rhonda, I'm like, this is one of the most important things, and none of us do it really well. So tell me a little bit about how you got to this concept of listening. Tell me about that.
So when I started coach training, so I'm an executive coach, and I have a master's degree in organizational development. But when I went into the world of coaching, we started talking about in the training about 3 levels of listening. And I was transfixed by this idea of listening, about how I had never thought about listening, about how as a communication tool, that it is so very important. And then when I started practicing as a coach, I realized how poor my listening skills were. So I endeavored to understand more about listening. And so not only did I think about it, ponder it, study it, I started to research it. And I discovered there is precious little out there written about the second side of the communication process. And it deserves to have at least 50% of the attention paid to it. It's so incredibly important. And then I started thinking about how physicians listen or don't. And I started thinking about how, what are we leaving on the table by not listening, by not knowing how to listen? And why has it not been promoted? Why has it not been studied? Why hasn't enough been done? There are very few books out there written about listening. And even there, it's not listening in order to connect. So my subtitle, Inspiration for Connecting with Purpose. The books that are written, it's not about connecting with purpose. It's about listening in order to get what you want. It's not about connection. It's not about, they're talking so much in listening about how it's a business tool in order to be able to monetize it, to prosper from it. But what if we just listened in order to connect?
That's amazing, because I'm like when we're listening, we're thinking about what's the next thing we're going to say back. So we're already out of we're not even in listening mode. We're in what am I going to say back to this thing? And so we missed half the stuff.
Or
right?
More. Exactly. Yeah. So we talk about that as coaches, we talk about that as level 1 listening, how that's listening to reload. And that's how I always listened. Right. I would listen in order to, I'm waiting for you to take a breath so that I can throw in my 2 cents there. But what if we stopped listening, what if we stopped listening in order to add ourselves to the relationship or to the conversation? What if I just allowed you to come into this conversation, to give me what you have? And then I started thinking about the whole cycle. So not only is it you telling me what you actually need and me giving you the space, which is so great for connection and understanding. But there's also, I think, if we think about it, one of the reasons we don't listen well is because when we are heard, we have to take responsibility for ourselves, and we have to put out into the world ideas and statements, and we have to stand behind what we say, which actually puts even more onus on the speaker. And that's somewhat uncomfortable.
Yeah, so it's really all about integrity and authenticity, like whether you're speaking or listening, you need that for both things.
Yes, and integrity and authenticity, they take responsibility, and they cause us to pause and look more inside ourselves and to decide if we want to connect. And we have to be more deliberate and maybe slower.
Yeah, slower is good. Yeah, because we're that's the thing right there. We're constantly jumping ahead to what we're going to say back. We need to be prepared to say something back when if we're listening, we don't really have to say anything back most of the time.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. And that's not really our culture. And I laugh because I think about movies that we see. When I was thinking about the movie Juno is a really great one, where where the protagonist says something that's really kind of intriguing, and then the person comes back at them, and the banter is so fast and so clever and so smarty pants. You kind of wish that was you. You think, gosh, how can I think that fast to be able to come back that fast?
Right.
It's wonderful for a movie because it causes adrenaline. It's really enjoyable. When you watch a conversation, you think about how do I start thinking fast enough and jumping out fast enough? It's really fun. But in real life, what purpose does that serve?
Yeah, no, it's totally not effective at all.
It's not effective. It's
yeah.
not effective.
Yeah. So who are your cards for? I mean, that's everybody, but I'm going to list them, let you say. Who are your cards? Like, who did you create them for?
I created an avatar in my mind when writing this. I was thinking, this is for people who are just learning to slow down, are just learning to be serious about themselves. So I actually thought to myself, 45-year-old mom needs a break, goes to a spa, sees the cards. What she's going to want to hear is how I can connect with my parents, with my partner, with my children. And I'm going to want to be an example for them and have a relationship that is solid, deliberate, and purposeful.
Beautiful. So yes, that's your avatar, but I mean, honestly, these are great. Like, start teaching young kids how to do this right from the get-go before they get into any kind of relationship, business or personal, right?
Right. And those children are taught by teachers, and they are taught by coaches, and they are taught by everybody. So I mean, honestly, so I have friends who are therapists, and they are using these cards.
Yeah. I can see these cards as just a really useful tool for all kinds of things. I mean, and as adults too, we teach our kids by example, right? So if we're good listeners to them, then they'll understand, oh, my mom always listened to me, so I can listen to someone else. So,
and that's the point of it, that we have to start with ourselves.
Yeah.
And we teach by the example. I can't think of any other way to teach listening really than to start with yourself. We have to start here. And then by starting here, then we create an environment where other people know what it feels like to be heard. And, when you are heard, it feels like love. So ultimately, what we are selling and trying to create is love.
Wow, that's so powerful. I'm pretty blown away. So what made you decide to put this concept into a card deck?
So you and I have a mutual friend named Laura West. And I met Laura through another mutual friend who happens to be a coach. And Laura, when she was promoting what you were doing, one of the things that she said, or maybe it was you, probably you both agreed on this, was they said, this is also a way to kind of hash through your ideas. And I've been writing a book on Listen, and I've been struggling with some of the motivation. It's hard to write a book, by the way.
Yes.
It's hard. And it's a lonely process.
Yeah.
And I thought this would be a great way for me to kind of harness all of my ideas, because I've been working on this idea for so many years, and the ideas number in the hundreds by now. How do I pick the best ones? How do I put them together? So I thought, when the two of you were discussing this is how card decks help, and there is an audience for them. And I thought, I own tons of card decks.
Right. Exactly.
I never thought for myself to write them. And when you said, you by taking my class, this is what you can learn, and this is how you can learn to execute. And I thought, this is where I need to go for energy more than anything else, in order to recharge what I'm doing, in order to hash through the ideas, in order to make it more succinct and real. This is a really great tool for me right now. Yeah.
And I love that, because it doesn't, some people say like, well, I don't have my book yet. And it doesn't, because they go really well together, right? But it doesn't matter which one starts first. And I love when people start their card deck first, because it really does pull all your things together. And now you have like an outline, really. to pick apart.
Yes. Yeah. And it's almost like, again, yesterday I was writing and I thought, I need to be able to put these all out in cards and move my 6x4, index cards around. I don't need index cards. I already have them.
Know. It's amazing.
And I want to be able to put them in order and shuffle them around. And then I can add in the quotes from other people. I can add in the stories that I've been told. And there's the book.
Yeah. It sounds like an amazing book. I'm going to be first on the list to want that book. So thank you very much. All right. So let's not keep everybody waiting, and let's kind of show them how magnificent these cards really are. Do you want to kind of pull do some kind of reading for us, or how someone would work for them? Just do your thing.
Sure. So I will show them. So these colors, the company that I've created, Diest Associates, that's me. And these are actually my company colors. So I gave these to a local young graphic artist named Ray Wilson, who's an abundantly talented young gentleman. And I said, these are my company colors, make this work. And through many conversations that we had, this is what we came up with. And he came up with a wonderful watercolor, like a watercolor pattern. And then with the white pieces put in the idea of waves. And there were many conversations that went with this.
He listened really well.
He also another industry. So, doctors and psychotherapists, everybody needs to listen better.
Yeah.
Teachers need to listen better.
Everybody. Yeah.
All of us, all of us. Where is there too much listening?
Right.
So, and Ray came up with these wonderful ideas of these alchemical symbols. Loved this idea. So, and I had divided a spreadsheet into different pieces in order for me to think of all of the cards, just for inspiration.
Right, because you have six categories. 6
categories, exactly. So then
symbols.
we renamed them. I honed them. I changed some of the wording to match. So, but I really think that any of these are all good. One of them, I'm just pulling them randomly because every one of them has a story behind them. But I have one about entering every conversation with the heart of a child.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah.
So this says, be curious. Notice something you've never noticed before. Convert that curiosity into a statement or a compliment. Then listen. Listen to what others say to you. Do they laugh or thank you? Did you just bring up a story they want to share? How did you make them feel? And how do you feel? So again, the idea behind this is, listening with the heart of a child.
Yeah.
And I remember actually writing the text for this, and it was a lot of fun. But the idea of listening with curiosity, staying in a level where you're not thinking, what am I going to say? But you're truly, truly listening. And when I've talked to clients of mine, coaching clients, they say, oh, I know about this listening thing. You have to do active listening. And whenever I hear the words active listening, I sort of just want to laugh. Because as I say in one of my other cards, there's no such thing as active listening. Are you listening or you're not?
Yeah.
If you're listening and nodding your head and doing, showing all of these body language signs that yes, I hear you. Yes, I'm, participating. That is not active listening. Either you are listening or you are not listening.
Wow.
Let's make sure that it's authentic.
So that's that's really powerful. Also, I'm thinking that there's 48 cards here, that there's actually this many ways that you can think about listening. It's not just you're not just saying, just shut up, pay attention, and listen. It's so much deeper than that.
Right. And the idea is if you were to pick a card every morning, let's say in the morning, you think, I'm going to go through my day today. I'm going to go through my day today, making allowance for others' failures. Right. So even in there, not everyone has the benefit of having thought about listening. Not everyone has had the time to decide what they need before launching into a conversation. Modeling good listening takes effort, and helping others get to a place of deliberate attention takes time. Be gentle. So what if you had that for your whole day, just thinking, not everybody knows about this. Not everybody knows how to listen to others. Not everybody has had the time or
Yeah.
chosen
Yeah.
to do this. But
Totally.
what if you, every morning, what if you picked one card and just said, this is how I'm going to spend my day? And it makes me wonder, I don't know the answer to this, but it makes me wonder, how would our lives change?
I mean, it, it totally changes the communication process, right? if even if there's just one person listening, totally changes everything, because then there's no one's yelling at each other because the one person's listening. So it's pretty profound. I told you I had two cards that I picked, and one of them actually happens to be modeling active listening. You're either listening or you're not. And I probably picked this because I'm kind of like I was thinking about that today. I'm like, you either make it, like, it's not like there's never no choice. You make a choice when you say you don't have a choice. Exactly. So it's the same thing, right? You're either listening or you're not. And I think that's great. There's no reason to nod your head and make noises to indicate your interest if you're truly listening, because the person's going to feel it. Right? They don't need to have, which I think is great. I added that part in person. Pay your conversation partners the respect of authentically listening. They know the difference between real and pretend. That is, wow. Right?
Yeah. And we do, like, we know deep down inside. And what's scary, and I've been this person, what's scary is when somebody calls you out when they know that you've been inauthentic, when you know that you've been inauthentic. And they can say, I can tell you're not actually listening, you're just pretending.
Right. And you have to say, or
how did you know?
Right. Or if there's a question at the end and you're like, oh shit, I wasn't really listening through. Right. So then you're kind of, so really it's a gift for both people though, because, it's a gift when you're listening for the other person, but also for yourself. So, you can really be who you really are, right? And do that for someone else.
Yes. And being who you really are sometimes is scary.
Yeah. Right.
There's all of the pieces that go with that. It just causes us to do a little bit bit deeper, more purposeful work.
Yeah.
But I posit that the rewards are infinite. So we just got to do it. And I think that listening is a wonderful first step. Learning how to do it, training ourselves, training others, making that a part of our vernacular, making this a part of the way we communicate, and respecting that this part of the communication is as valuable, if not more, than knowing how to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking about how great would it be if you just had someone you could say, okay, it's my turn today for you just to listen. And then, like if you had someone that just always listened to you without fighting back or giving you the solution before you can even get the thing out or whatever it is.
Yes.
Really great, right?
Yeah. But I would say, you start with yourself.
Yeah.
Start there. Start by being the person who listens.
The person that you like in your life to be that person, right? Yeah. So show us another card. Give us something else.
Are you sure you don't want to pick one? Because you're good at this. Here's one. There's a golden rule.
Okay.
There's a golden rule. It goes like this. Listen to others the way you would want them to listen to you.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about, right?
I would say, like, I could pick any card right now out of this deck and we could say, oh, that's what we were just talking about. It says, does that golden rule include interrupting? Does it include disregarding a point before it's made? Does it include hurrying others along because you've got somewhere to be? Remember that you can, by your actions, train others how to listen. Be gentle with them and with yourself.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah, that's part of listening too, is being gentle. So, and maybe that's why we don't like it so much, because the idea of like, how do I get what I want in life? What's in it for me?
Yeah, I mean, right. It is fascinating. And I guess too, the reason that we all feel like we have to talk so much is because maybe we feel like we're not heard. So like, if listening could switch that. If everyone's listening, then we don't have to feel like no one's hearing us, right? And we don't have to be always talking. So it kind of solves a lot of issues, I think.
That's an interesting idea that, we don't want to make words cheap. We want to make them more and more precious.
Yeah.
So we don't need as many of them. But they're only precious if they are meaningful and useful and that they come from an authentic place. Otherwise, you might as well just throw them out like confetti, right? Another idiom that I used in one of the words.
Yeah.
So
Amazing. So how was the creation process for you?
Oh, I love to talk about the creation process. And again, thank you for being such a huge cog in that wheel of my creation. I really, really appreciate what I learned from you. For me, the process went like this. Again, but I guess before we had ever met, I was already creating a spreadsheet with things I didn't want to forget, little words of wisdom. For me, creating the text was the easiest part because I'd been doing it for many years. I learned from you how to think about the size, the shape, the purpose. You gave really great ideas on what the container should look like. So can I show the container?
Yeah.
So these are from Pacola, right? This is both a mailing box and a package box.
Love it.
You gave ideas like using easels and having what you called the premiums that go with it. I thought that was wonderful. But I had never considered, we have to have a packaging. We have to have a way to mail. There were a lot of choices.
Yeah.
So I learned from you what the choices were and what order they have to be in. And the best part that I learned from you is think about the size of your cards, and think about the size of the box. In some cases, by picking a standard size, which these are, by picking a standard size, you're going to save money on the packaging. It's going to be easier. It's not going to be as worrisome or potentially disappointing when you realize that the odd size doesn't fit the box, doesn't fit the mailing package. So you have to consider all of these pieces that go with it. And you have to think about if you want to have a premium, like a little easel, which I thought was adorable, by the way. If there's a little easel, you have to think about how much is that going to cost? Am I able to get the right number? Am I going to have to change it at some point? Like all of these pieces I had not considered, and they were wonderful to consider. One of the things that I liked about what you said, I don't have a background in graphics. I don't have a background in the production of any of these things. So to me, this was like, I'm the words person. I do words. I don't do anything else. But like going on Canva and discovering what was available there. I eventually did not go that route, but I did go and play with it. And I had to think about the size, and you say in your videos, like how to measure. This is how you measure. This is what they mean. These are borders. This is bleed. Like you gave me brand new words for my vocabulary. How else would somebody like me know that? Like it was worth every minute, every nickel that I spent learning these things that are completely foreign to me.
Awesome.
And I did know they were foreign to me, fortunately. A lot of people don't. But I knew they were foreign to me. And I knew that I had to find out from somebody who knew what they were talking about. And you talked about production. You talked about selling. There were so many other pieces that I had never considered.
Awesome. That's great.
But I had to learn from somebody. So thank you for being my person.
So what did you learn about yourself during the creation process?
What did I learn about well, I learned that all of this takes a lot longer and I'm not very good at being patient. I also learned that that's okay.
I love that.
That's okay.
That. And look what you have. I mean, you have this gorgeousness. I mean, so it was worth the wait. Well,
thank you. The production. So I did these pretty much production in-house or by a local printer. I did research finding out how to sell on Amazon, how to sell on Etsy. So I also had to learn how to promote this.
Yeah.
And again, you touch on this a lot when you're in your class. But there have been updates and changes to those processes even now.
Right.
So I went the Rosie Batista way and ended up with an ISBN on there.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, the printer told me he was very impressed with that. He said, "You're really serious if you looked at an ISBN. But if you're going to sell it on Amazon, it has to be done differently. It has to be done differently even than that." So I learned about the patience thing. I also learned that there are so many nice people out there willing to help. And
that's beautiful. Yeah, that's great.
A lot of people are so helpful. It was a lot of fun, and I would do it all. I would do it again.
I love it. I love it.
And there's nothing that I would change about the way I learned, about the way I did this. It was such a good process, and I felt like it was fun. It was really enjoyable.
Good. I'm thrilled about that. So, what are you up to with them? What do you want the audience to know? How can people get them?
So if anyone is interested, I have a website that and actually I created the website as well, which is another learning process. Website and creating how things, there's a lot of pieces that go with not just the website, but selling on a website, using PayPal, using credit cards.
Yeah.
There were pieces I had never anticipated. And I will continue to change those. But the website just for the cards is listenbook.guru, because eventually it will be a book. So listenbook.guru.
And we'll put all the links below and down below this video for you to be able to get right to that.
Oh, thank you. Mm-hmm. That's where it is. And I actually do everything myself. And again, with some of the ideas that you put forward, I made some stationery up, and I write little notes on all of them before I send them off in the mail.
Very nice.
And it's a lot of fun. I'm having a really nice time with it. And people email me and they say, "Oh, Rhonda, I love these cards." And I recommended them to my patients, my colleagues, my brother. So
yes. Yeah. And you always have like nice gifts in your house when you're like, "Oh, it's so-and-so's birthday. I need to send something," right? You got it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I went to a girlfriend's birthday last week. She just turned 50, and I took them to her, and it's just kind of fun to have them in there. They're colorful and they're wrapped, and they have their own box, and they have tissue paper.
Gorgeous.
And
gorgeous. And I think really what so impresses me with them is you say, "Oh, well, they're just cards," but there's so much content in here. So much, like there's 40. Well, we'll take out the front and the back card. There's 46 amazing pieces of content that, like, think of how good you're going to be in friendships and partnerships and whatever role you play when you are practicing listening skills. Amazing.
Well, let's hope. Yes. So actually there are 48 cards of content, and then plus there's the front.
Okay. Okay, so cool.
There are actually 50 cards. So there's the premium, right? 2 for free.
There you go. All right.
I had a lot of fun even creating those. So it's been a really great experience. And I know you always say there's no such thing as a person that creates one deck.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I gave you that, forewarned you. Because I was just going to say that I know already you're going to have more than one for sure.
Who knows? So let's finish the book first.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the book is a lot harder than the cards. The cards are just fun.
Yeah. And I think
they're fun to give as gifts. They're fun to, I've got several of them, and I never thought about being the person that creates the cards.
Right.
But who knows what the next card, and maybe it'll be how to work with Rosie Batista, a 48 card deck.
But there you go. Yeah, super, super amazing. All right. Well, thank you so much. Anything else that you want the audience to know, like your words of wisdom around, I guess, listening or anything, your words of wisdom we'd like to hear.
My words of wisdom. I think all my words of wisdom are in a 48 card deck.
Yes, there's definitely wisdom.
This is everything I have today is all on these cards. I mean, encouraging others to be kind. Sometimes you need to choose between being curious and being right. Listening and understanding aren't the same. I mean, there's a lot here, and I think that this is all I bring to the table today. This is it.
This is amazing stuff, guys. I mean, It's not the fun. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Oh, here's one that what is it to listen without judgment?
Yeah. What is it? What is it to listen without judgment?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you can like spend weeks on one card practicing it. Really great.
Yeah. Well, so far for me, it's been many years, and but it has helped. It has helped. It's helped me make my life richer. And I hope that I pass that along to everybody else.
Yeah, well, I'm sure everyone who's having a conversation with you leaves richer for the experience of being listened to.
Let's hope.
So, yeah. So thank you so much. And thank you for taking your gift and putting it into the world, because that's my, mission and my passion in this world is to get people to share their message. And you're definitely giving a gift here. So thank you for that.
Yeah. And thank you. And thank you. You were part of this, and I really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome.